I do. I smiled at her directness and looked down the street, but Jack was long gone. She just went for a ride around the block. Jack 2.0 looked distinctly disappointed.
My mom won't let me do that yet.
She looked down the street, and my gaze followed. A woman, no doubt her mother, was making her way up the sidewalk toward my house. I turned my attention back to the young girl. She'll be back soon if you want to meet her. What's your name?
Abby?
She couldn't have been older than Jack. She had long, light brown hair and a pair of bluish-green eyes that looked sweet and oddly familiar. She was a pint-sized version of me, minus the sundress. Thankfully, my mother could never hold me still long enough to capture me in one. I'm Jack's mom. You can call me Kate.
Jack?
She asked, confused.
That's a funny name for a girl.
It's short for Jacqueline. She hasn't let me call her that in years. She goes by Jack.
Abby!
A voice called out from the sidewalk, and I immediately froze. Fuck! I closed my eyes and counted to 10. It couldn't be her. I turned to the bottom of my driveway with my breath trapped in my lungs. When my eyes found hers, I thought I had seen a ghost. Lauren. The word boomed throughout my entire body, but never materialized into sound. My heart started to beat frantically, causing a dull pain. She was just asking about Jack. The words slipped quietly from my lips, and the green eyes that were focused on Abby immediately shot up and found mine. She blinked with her head tilted slightly to the side. I screamed at myself for not putting the pieces together quickly enough to send Abby on her way so that I could return to the safety of my home. She shook her head like she was clearing the cobwebs and studied me carefully. The second the blood drained from her face, I realized she had made the connection. You grew your hair out. I had thought about seeing Lauren again 100 million times, and not in a single scenario were her first words to me after 15 years about my hair. I winced and brushed the locks behind my ears. Out of sight, out of mind. But it was no use, as her gaze was fixed and not retreating any time soon. She looked like she had been hit by a 16-wheeler. At that moment, I too felt the jarring impact. I did everything in my power to keep myself as even and calm as possible. So, you don't let her ride alone yet? I asked stupidly, shrugged, and looked for anything to do with my hands which had started to flail wildly out of control. I shoved them into my pockets and pressed my lips together. Kate! I held up my hand, not wanting to hear any more from a voice that had haunted me for years. I didn't know that you were still in town. I trailed off from the shock, but recovered enough to utter, Don't worry, I lost your number a long time ago. Well, it looks like I have your new address. My stomach bottomed out as she surveyed the house, no doubt lost in her own shock. What are you doing back in town? And although I wanted to say nothing and bolt for the front door, my manners took over. I took a job at the library. The library? The disbelief blossomed, but before she could ask any other questions, she was interrupted.
How do you know my mom?
I looked down at Abby, not wanting to answer. But what other choice did I have? We went to school together.
Then you know my dad?
A simple, innocent question that deserved a simple, innocent answer. I do. I tried to force a smile, but I just couldn't do it. I could feel Lauren's presence, her eyes, the 1,000 questions she wanted to ask, even though I said nothing. I tried to keep my gaze focused on Abby, but I did a quick check down the sidewalk to see if Drew was in tow. Thankfully, he never materialized. You're very inquisitive, you know that? You're just like my daughter. You have a daughter? Lauren couldn't hide the surprise in her voice. Jacqueline.
She goes by Jack,
Abby added, and I finally smiled, although it felt uneasy. How old is she? Lauren fumbled with the words, which she never did. 10, going on 25. She wants to be a pirate.